Do you feel like your business would fall apart the second you took a day off? Most entrepreneurs think they need to work harder, but the truth is your business should work harder than you do. So in this video, I'm going to show you how to design systems that can help you run a full-time business on a part-time schedule, the 6 core pillars that make your business run like a machine, and how to be more efficient in your business so you have more time to spend with your family and actually take care of yourself. So I've helped 6 and 7-figure founders ditch the chaos and finally show up as a CEO and not just a task rabbit. To do this, I dove into learning everything I could about business systems, and the 2 books that helped me and my clients the most were The E-Myth Revisited and Traction, and I'm going to share how I tailored this knowledge to help entrepreneurs just like you. To start, let me show you the framework that shows you what to systemize and what to ignore. So back in my early 20s, I was a waitress, and there were times, usually close to when rent was due, I would go into work and pick up as many tables as I could in an effort to make a lot of money in one short shift. The problem was I quickly found myself in the weeds, as we would say in the restaurant world, overwhelmed with trying to do all the things and hurting my tips in the process. The kitchen had the capacity, the bar was cranking out drinks, the restaurant had what it took to provide a great meal, but I was getting in the way because I was in the weeds, juggling too many orders, running from table to table. I really became the bottleneck whenever this would happen. And then food would sit under the heat lamps, drinks melted at the bar, customers got frustrated, and I was the one holding everything up. Not because I wasn't working hard, but because everything had to go through me. That's what it's like when you're working harder than your business. You're not running it, you're running around it. Michael Gerber, who is the author of The E-Myth Revisited, said, if you're the business, you don't own a business, you own a job. So let me put this down on paper. When this happens, this is called your business depending on you. And Gerber calls this the technician trap. This is where you're the technician and chaotic in your business. And he calls it the technician trap because most small business owners build a business around doing the work, not designing the system that delivers the work. So essentially, you're working harder, but your business still depends on you to function. You're answering every question, fixing every fire, and still wondering why you can't take a real vacation. And I know it's summer, we all want to take a good vacation. So probably hit a ceiling because the business is being run off memory, being run off hustle and habits instead of systems. So how can you figure out if you are in the technician trap? Do a time audit to really get a grasp on what you're doing. This is going to help you later when we move into getting things off your plate. I do have a cheat sheet linked below with helpful tools for each step in this video, including helpful time auditing apps you might like. But here's the thing, just knowing that you're the bottleneck is just a very small step towards the actual solution. So now let me show you how the E-Myth and Traction authors teach us how to build what I call a self-propelling business. And I'm going to do that with something I call the rocket runway. Getting clear on your vision is like setting coordinates before a rocket launch. At first, being a degree or 2 off doesn't matter much, but over time, you're not just off track, you're in the wrong galaxy actually. You didn't miss the mark, you built a business you were never meant to build. That's why your vision isn't just a nice idea, it's your guidance system. Without it, you drift. With it, you give your team something real to aim for, or yourself if you're a solopreneur. It keeps you focused, it keeps you aligned, and moving toward the business you actually want to build. So step 1 in our rocket runway is to pick a destination. And what this does literally is help you clarify the vision. And both books that I've mentioned address how to create this vision. In Traction, it's the vision component and the VTO tool. And in the E-Myth, it's the strategic objective. And I actually combine strategies from both books to make this an easy and simple process to implement. So for the sake of time in this video, I will review them quickly, but I have a full worksheet and your cheat sheet linked below to walk you through doing this process for yourself. So step 1 is to start with you and define your primary aim. And this is coming directly from the book, The E-Myth Revisited. Your business exists to serve your life, not the other way around. So ask yourself questions like, what kind of life do I want to live? And how should my business support that vision? As Gerber says, great businesses are not built by extraordinary people, but by ordinary people doing extraordinary things with a clear sense of purpose. So let's go through an example for each step to bring it to life. Meet Imani. Here's what she has to say for her primary aim. I want a 7-figure wellness business that allows me to be fully present with my kids every afternoon. No rushing, no guilt. My business should fuel my creativity, support my lifestyle, and empower thousands of women to feel good in their own skin. Step 2 is to define your identity. These are your core values and core focus taken directly from Traction. So you're going to want to clarify your core values. These are going to be 3 to 7 guiding principles that define your culture and your hiring lens, or how you do work if you are a solopreneur. The core focus is also in reference to the book Traction, talking about your purpose and your niche. So when it comes to your core focus, you want to define what do you do best and for whom do you do it. This is going to become your internal compass for decision making, for growth, and for team alignment. A quote from Wickman, the Traction author, says that core values define your culture and core focus prevents shiny object syndrome. So back to Imani, our example. Her business identity may value integrity, work-life balance, and real impact. Her core focus is helping busy women lose weight in a healthy way that supports body positivity. So her core values would be something like compassion first, science-backed simplicity, progress over perfection, and authenticity always. And our core focus is we help busy women lose weight with body positivity, sustainable routines that respect their time, biology, and self-worth. Step 3 from the E-Myth is to set quantifiable goals. Define how you will know your vision is actually coming to life. How do you know it's coming true? To do this, you're going to define specific, measurable, long-term goals for your business. So think revenue or profit targets, desired number of team members, hours you want to work, systems or lifestyle benchmarks. So Gerber highlights that this strategic objective is a very clear statement of what your business has to ultimately do to achieve your primary aim. So back to Imani. To achieve her primary aim, her business needs to profit 7 figures a year and allow her the time and freedom to pick up her kids from school each and every school day. So Imani's strategic objective is going to be 1 million in annual revenue by year 5, 3,000 plus course enrollments per year, hire a full-time integrator and a part-time content virtual assistant, only work 25 hours per week, and never miss school pickup at 3:15 p.m. Okay, so step 4 is to establish your 10-year target. This comes directly from the book Traction. This is where you identify your big picture destination. What's the bold, inspiring outcome you're working towards 10 years from now? And if you have a team, you want to get buy-in from your leadership team so everyone's sort of rowing in the right direction. As Traction author Wickman stated, vision without traction is merely hallucination. So for our example, Imani's North Star goal is to become the go-to brand for body positivity weight loss, serving 50,000 women, generating $5 million a year, and hosting live events and retreats for transformation and community. Step 5 is to craft your marketing strategy. As a part of this vision, you also want to clarify how you'll attract and serve your ideal client. Define your ideal target market, your 3 unique, so what are 3 things that are setting you apart, your proven process or framework, visually or narratively shown, you want to have this down, your guarantee or your pledge. And we want to get this marketing strategy down first as part of your vision, because as the Traction author says, when your marketing strategy is clear, selling becomes a matter of trust really, and not convincing, which I know we really all love, because who really likes feeling like they're selling? More so than you're getting people to trust you because you have a strategy that you believe in. So for Imani, her target market is women aged 30 to 50, juggling work, family, and health goals. Her 3 uniques could be things like body positivity approach rooted in self-compassion, time efficient systems that help adapt to real life, and she integrates mindset, meals, and movement. The proven process that she's coming up with for this example could be something like a feel-good formula, which is her 6-step wellness path of reset, nourish, move, align, sustain, and thrive. Her guarantee could be, if you don't feel more confident and clear in 30 days, we'll refund your program, no questions asked. Okay, so that's pretty good marketing strategy. Let's move on to step 6. Define your moon and star goals. So this is something that I've integrated from my own systems, but it overlaps with lots of information and traction in the E-Myth. So think of your goals as constellations guiding your execution. Your moon goal are your 3-year pictures. So you're going to paint a vivid picture of revenue, profit, team size, brand presence, systems, and operations. And you want to keep this at 5 to 15 bullets max. Those are your moon goals you're going to set. Then you're going to have your star goals, your 1-year plan, and your quarterly rocks. So you're going to choose 3 to 7 goals for the next 12 months, break those down into quarterly milestones, or the book's Traction calls them rocks. And according to Traction, the way you move the company forward is one 90-day period at a time. So for Imani's moon and star goals, the moon goals for the 3-year picture is $500K in annual revenue, a team of 4, so Imani plus operations plus a coach she hires and a VA, 2 signature courses, 1 group program, 2 retreats per year, only 3 Zoom calls per week, 100 plus client transformations featured, and afternoon school pickups protected 5 times a week. Okay, so those are the 3-year goals. The 1-year plan, so let's talk about her 1-year goal examples. Hit 250K revenue, enroll 500 clients into the Feel Good Formula course, hire an ops manager, launch first group coaching program, and then her star quarterly rocks would be finish automating her onboarding system, build out a full VSL funnel, complete a 90-day content calendar, and launch her beta for her group program. Okay, step 7 in this vision, first step, is to identify and document key issues. So this I learned from the book, largely from Traction. You're going to list the issues, the risks, the obstacles, or opportunities that can impact your ability to hit your vision. And there's a lot of research behind when you're setting goals, thinking about what might get in the way and troubleshooting those in your mind beforehand when it comes to actually achieving goals, because the research shows when you have sort of a plan, even if it's not the actual challenges you'll face, just getting in the mindset that you can overcome challenges and seeing yourself do that helps you be more resilient in the process of achieving your goals. So in this exercise, when you do this becomes your master issues list. It's going to be a tool for honest leadership and problem solving. And Wickman says just naming the issues is actually good therapy. So in our example, Amani's issues list could include things like inconsistent content creation or calendar, over reliance on manual client onboarding, no documented SOPs, her marketing feels scattered, she needs better customer data tracking, she could be worried about losing a personal touch as the business scales. So now you might be thinking this vision is great, but what about those systems you mentioned that were going to set me free, Tiffany? Let me show you how to use this vision to gain real freedom. So here's how I want you to think of this next step. It's like setting up chess pieces before making a move. Each piece has a distinct role, strengths, and limitations. You don't win by assigning moves at random. You win by knowing where each piece belongs and what it's built to do. Your business is no different. Before you fill roles with people, define the seats and the needed activities clearly. That way, when it's time to delegate, you're not guessing, you're placing the right piece in the right position for the win. So I call this power boosting, and this is step 2, power boosting, and it involves 2 parts: power boosting the engine and the fuel. In Traction, the important components of what the book talks about in the people component section, and in the E-Myth, it's discussed as the organizational chart before you need it. And in practice, what I've found helpful is first defining the current engine and fuel in your business, and then also defining the ideal engine and fuel, and kind of noticing the difference between those two has been helpful with the women I've worked with. And what do I mean by this? Well, for engine, I learned about value engines from Ryan Deese, I think is how you say his name, where he teaches you how to map out your value engines before making systems, including your growth engine, how you attract and convert leads into customers, your fulfillment engine, how you deliver what you sold, your innovation engine, how you improve or build new products, which is not covered in this video, but he talks about that. Now, in my work with the women that I've worked with that are entrepreneurs, I have customized this. I'm not a exactly to map on to Ryan's engines exactly, but we'll use it for the purposes of this video. But just know that if you work with me, we break this down a little bit more. So I break it down into attract, convert, deliver, and innovate as the value engines, and then the fuel is going to be what I'll talk about later, but I'll just say it. It's going to be cash, team, and leadership. So just a caveat, if you hear me talking about it differently in different videos, for the purpose of this video, let's keep it simple. But I will, however, add a fourth engine to his growth, fulfillment, and innovate, which is your cash engine, to kind of cover that financial basis, which is going to be how you manage the cash flow in your business. So what you'll do is create something called a process map for each engine in your business currently. And if you don't like the current process, it could be helpful to also map out your ideal process map for each engine. And if you want to know how to create a process map, don't worry, I'm going to show you an example here, but there will also be instruction and helpful tools in the cheat sheets that I have for you linked below for free. And as Ryan Deese says, if you can't visualize it, you can't optimize it, which is why I have found having these process maps for each part of the way my business works has been so helpful. And women that don't have this, that I have introduced them to, has found it to be very helpful as well, just to see how everything flows visually. And some people have never even thought about that or put it on paper. So here is a crash course on mapping out one of these engines. Ryan suggests that you start with your growth engine. So one, you're going to get clear on the start and the finish of your growth engine. So you're going to ask yourself things like, where does this journey begin and where does it end? So for our Imani example, it could be her beginning of her growth engine starts with, my ideal client finds me on YouTube, and then the end ends with, she joins my coaching program. And then you're going to map out the in between using then what method. So you're going to walk through each step the client takes and keep asking then what until you reach the end. So she watches the YouTube video, then what, so on and so forth till you get your customer to the end. So you're going to use squares for actions, and you're going to use diamonds for decisions, like did she open the email, and if it's yes or no, it can have different paths. So I'll put up on the screen what this could look like for our Imani example, so you could take a screenshot if you just want to look at the example later. But Traction suggests once you have it all mapped out, you're going to bring it to the table. You're going to review it yourself if you're a solopreneur, or you're going to review it with your team or your partners, and you're going to let them poke holes. If you're by yourself, you could let ChatGPT poke holes in it. Then you're going to fill in what's missing, maybe something you didn't think about, but like your assistant thought about or your video editor thought about, and you're going to make it even stronger. Okay, now it's time for the fuel part. This is where you're going to think about roles and responsibilities and build your accountability chart using this process map. So you're going to start with the functions, not the names of the roles. So this is your dream organizational chart that could support your primary aim that we thought about in your vision. So you're going to ask yourself, what roles are essential to delivering the business's vision? You can also use from Traction the GWC test. When you are putting someone in that role, is you want to think about, do they get it? Do they get your company values? Do they get your way of thinking, your culture? Do they want this role? Do they want it? Do they have a hunger for it? Are they passionate about it? And do they have the capacity to actually do it? Do they have skills? Do they have the background? That kind of thing. So get it, get your culture, get your values. Do they want the role? And do they have the capacity? GWC. And here's a bonus tip. Even if you wear all the hats right now in your business, I want you to define them separately. This is going to create clarity and make delegation easier later down the line. So let's talk about how this might look for Imani. So now that Imani has her clear engines mapped out, she knows exactly how her business attracts, how it nurtures, how it converts clients. She also knows how she improves her products or courses and manages her cash flow. But here's the thing, even the best engine won't run without fuel, and that's where her people are going to come in. So even if she's doing everything herself right now, it's still time for her to build her dream accountability chart, not based on names of roles, but based on functions. So that way she's building a business that can scale beyond her. So step one, she's going to define the key roles, not the people yet. So she's going to identify the functions her business needs to deliver her vision. So one, marketing, creating content, growing her email list and running ads. Two, sales is going to be things like managing DMs, discovery calls, handling objections. Three, client delivery is going to be handling those coaching coaching calls, course updates, community support. 4, operations. She's going to have her tech systems and email automations. 5, admin and support. She's going to have things like customer service, scheduling, and managing her inbox. Right now, she's doing all 5, but she writes them out separately so she can start to delegate intentionally as she grows. So for herself, she's then going to run step 2, the GWC test for each role, and she realizes that she gets marketing, but she doesn't want to edit her own YouTube videos anymore. She wants to do client delivery. It really lights her up. She also realizes she doesn't have the capacity to manage all her admin anymore. So this tells her where her first hires or contractors should go, for example, a VA or a video editor. And this is important. Even though Imani wears all the hats now, defining each hat separately helps her clarify her current time drain, spot gaps early, create job descriptions when she's ready to hire. So instead of saying, I need help, she knows exactly what she needs help with. And with this alone, your business has already gained order and given you back so much freedom, but we're not stopping there. Let me show you how you use this to automate your business. So think of your business like a piece of IKEA furniture. If someone had to build it tomorrow using only what's written down, could they? Most founders are walking around with all the steps in their head, which means if they're not there, the whole thing collapses. Creating a manual per se of your documented processes is like including the instruction booklet in the box. It turns your one-of-a-kind founder-powered hustle into a business that others could build, run, and even improve without you standing over their shoulder, which is why step 3 is to create the manual. And so this is in both books, but a lot of this is talked about in Systemizing Your Work, the Franchise Mindset, and the E-Myth Revisited. And in Traction, it's the process component. So you want a business that runs with or without you, and that starts here. So you're going to start thinking like a franchise, even if your business is a practice, meaning that you are a personal brand, an infopreneur, you still want to think about it as like a franchise. So what I mean when I say think like a franchise is thinking if someone else had to run this tomorrow, could they, for the most part? So this is about documenting your core processes, the 20% of workflows that drive the 80% of the results. So here are some implementation tips when it comes to these systems. If you're just starting out because your business is still changing so much as you figure out what's working, you don't want to waste your time documenting all the things that you're just going to eventually change soon anyway, because your business is in that getting off the ground stage. So don't try to build the whole playbook on day 1. Start by documenting the systems that you constantly forget how to do, even your own, and you're constantly scrounging everywhere, or things that you plan to delegate soon. And this keeps you focused on what's actually stable in your evolving business. So for example, you might document, here's how I onboard a client from inquiry to payment to welcome email, so that you have it, or if you're sick and your assistant needs to get it done, they can jump in and do that for you if they're not already doing it. So you're going to use the process map that you created in step 2, and you're going to zoom in. 1, you're going to identify a leaky area, what's always messy or confusing or inconsistent that you want to be consistent with, and prioritize systems that are both needy and high impact for your business. You're going to 2, assign ownership to that system or SOP, who's responsible for this system, and you're going to use your accountability chart to decide who it should be responsible based on your process maps. Then you're going to document the process, so create very simple SOPs, standard operating procedures. You can use checklists, templates, you can use Loom videos and workflows. Keep it messy at first because we can waste a lot of time on these things, and then just refine it as needed. Then you're going to add that to your business operating system or business hub, and that business hub should be stored in a central place. Mine is in Notion. I will be sharing that soon in an upcoming workshop. I will actually link it below because I'll be giving exclusive access to my Notion business hub, but because it's searchable, it's easy for others to use in the way that it's designed as well. So here is an example of an SOP for Imani. And this is an SOP for her one-to-one coaching client onboarding process. Step 1 is payment and intake. Step 2 is schedule a session. Step 3 is to set up the client folder. Step 4 is to send the pre-session prep email. And step 5 is to notify Imani. Also, like I mentioned, I do have a workshop coming up called Productive Boss, where I will be giving exclusive access to my Notion business brain template. The workshop is free and you can sign up at the description below. So you've mapped the journey, you've built the manual. Now it's time to use the dashboard. Because after all, a business built on vibes is just going to crash every time. This step is all about measuring what matters. So you're leading with facts, not feelings. So what I mean by this step is to actually track the right metrics. So you're going to run on data, not drama. This is based on Traction's data component and the E-Myths, the quantification mindset. And the way that I teach this, and I use it in my own business, is to build a weekly scorecard. So create a simple dashboard with 5 to 15 lead indicators. And these lead indicators are numbers that tell you how things are going before you see the final result. Lagging metrics, on the other hand, like revenue, tell you what happened after the fact. And lead metrics like sales calls or application starts tell you what's about to happen. So after you have those, you're going to assign a number to each role. So every person on your team should have a clear number that they're responsible for. At the beginning, you might be the name by all of these metrics, but it's important because clarity drives ownership and ownership drives results. So once you know that you're the one responsible for that thing, it helps you create more impact in your business, essentially. So examples for sales, it could be a metric like calls made or your conversion rate. Marketing numbers could be like new leads captured. Operations could be products shipped on time. Support could be the average response time or tickets resolved. So for you as the business owner, you could track things like new collaborations pitch or things that you're just responsible for, the founder. A good one is hours spent in your genius zone. So that's how much impact and you coded things that you're doing each week. You can kind of track to make sure you're getting the best use of your time. And I suggest doing this in Google Sheets. I am a Notions girly, but I do have the Google Sheet embedded in my hub because I just find it very simple and much easier to use. So for Imani, our example, each Monday, Imani and her VA spend 20 minutes reviewing this scorecard. She looks for any red flags. For example, low downloads equals her funnel needs to be refreshed. She looks at progress on the priorities in her business. She looks at trends across the weeks of tracking these numbers. Are onboarding delays creeping up? That kind of thing. And she just gets an overall view of the health of her business before it's too late to do anything about it, looking at 5 to 15 metrics each and every week. Okay, so for the sake of time, because I don't want this video to be too long, let's quickly walk through the last 2 steps of your rocket runway. So you're going to calibrate the systems. So 5 is you're going to calibrate your systems, and 6 is going to be control the cockpit. Okay, step 5 is to calibrate your systems by solving issues at the root, not the surface. So getting to the bottom of any issues that are going on that you're realizing largely in your tracking. Traction addresses this as the issues component and the IDS framework if you're looking for more depth in the book. And the E-Myth book addresses this as innovation and orchestration. So let's be real. If you're solving the same problem over and over, you don't have a people problem, you have a systems problem, meaning it may not be you, it may be your system. So here's the move I want you to make. Keep an issues list, like we talked about it at the beginning, that's always evolving. Anytime something's off, it goes onto this list. Then you use the IDS method from Traction in your team meetings or a meeting with yourself if you're solopreneur, carving out that time to look at these types of things to troubleshoot. You're going to identify the real root of the issue, not just the surface level consequences. You're going to discuss without blame or tangents, getting off on a tangent. So you don't want to even start just blaming yourself or what kind of founder am I, or blaming your team members. You want to solve it with one clear action or one system update. And here's the kicker. You want to document the fix. That's how you build a self-improving business. So in your innovation system, wherever you document innovations, you want to put it there and house it there. Then we also have step 6, control the cockpit, which is really just to install a rhythm of execution, what the book calls motion Notion in the book Traction, and it's based on the concepts of rocks. Those are those quarterly sort of goals that they mention, and what they call level 10 meetings. Whereas in the E-Myth, if you want to dive deeper in that book, discusses this as the business development process. So let me put it out simply for you. You've built the machine. Now let's keep it moving with a rhythm that you can stick to. So you set those 90-day rocks. In my business, I call these STAR goals. They're focused, measurable priorities for each person or each department if you have a larger business. Traction suggests you run a weekly level 10 meeting with your team or with yourself to quarterly plan, and you check in on those STAR goals. I do mine on my YouTube channel. You're going to review your dashboard and your scorecard, solve those priority issues that we talked about, and leave with clear actions. And these meetings are where the vision gets lived out, not just planned. So you're really executing what you plan to do for the year in these each quarterly meetings. So let's look at how Imani in our example could implement these steps. So Imani noticed that new clients kept asking the same support questions after purchase. Instead of just answering DMs and emails all week, she logged it as an issue. And in her weekly meeting with her VA, they used the IDS to dig deeper and realized her course onboarding email was way too vague. They rewrote the welcome sequence and added a resource hub link and updated the SOP in her Notion hub. Done, solved, systemized. Then they added a rock for that quarter. Improve new client onboarding experience measured by reduced support tickets. Each Monday they meet to check progress, track the metrics, and solve what's next. That rhythm keeps her business calm, clear, and moving even while she's at school pickup. Okay, so now you know how to step back and to let your systems step in. But here's the truth. If you don't have a solid rhythm in your life, none of this is going to actually stick. That's why I want you to watch this video next, my 3-7 time blocking method for entrepreneurs. It's the exact method I use to stay focused, juggle all the things, and actually follow through with the systems that I'm building without burning out. So go ahead and click that now and I'll show you how I do it. Also, don't forget to sign up for my upcoming workshop, Productive Boss. It's linked in the description below, along with those cheat sheets for free. I'll see you in the next video. Cheers to planning, manifesting, and enjoying your dream life. Namaste.